Hello and welcome to another deck artwork flip through. So we're on to the second deck of the 2011 Commander decks. This is the Mirror Mastery deck. So this is the blue, red, green deck. Now following on from last week's video, I actually checked, and what I realized is that for these decks there was only one that I ever did an unboxing for. I think it was at a period in time where I wasn't unboxing everything I bought for Magic the Gathering. It's probably the most logical explanation. What I will do in the description for this video is I'll include a link again for just the particular deck that I did unbox, so you can just get a feel if you never saw what the packaging was like. That's really the point of me referencing the unboxings, is so what you can see, one, what the packaging is like, and two, like the full card, if that's something you're interested in. Because I know although these episodes focus purely on the artwork, partially from a nostalgia perspective, there's going to be people obviously that are interested in seeing the full card. Now there is one thing that sort of fixes that, and I'll include a link to it. As part of my series that I did many years ago, it was like a nostalgia series where I looked through a year in Magic in 4 bits for each quarter, and I flicked through everything that I purchased. And because the Commander decks were one of those things, I actually flipped through all 5 Commander decks in one of the episodes, and I'll include a link to that particular episode in the description. And what I'll do is I'll make sure the link starts at the point where I flip through these Commander decks. So I thought it was worth explaining that, because last week I gave the impression that maybe I'd unboxed all of these decks on camera at some point, and that actually wasn't the case. Going forward, I'm hoping, and if my memory's correct, that all the Commander product after this, except the Commander's Arsenal, which I wasn't able to get at the time for obvious reasons, there are individual unboxings for as well, and I'll include links to those. Anyway, let's press on and appreciate the artwork for this. So all these decks had 3 cards that you could use as commanders, and I'm going to be going through in rarity order with this. But you can sort of imagine how exciting it was to open these decks at the time, because I was seeing a lot of cards here that I would have never seen, because they were being pulled from throughout Magic's history. But in the decks there were quite a number of new cards and cycles of cards as well. And of course those new cards were cards that had been printed specifically for multiplayer. But it was also interesting to see what sets in the past Wizards tended to gravitate towards for inclusion in decks. And you start to notice sort of patterns here, where there seem to be certain sets, I suppose, over others, which seem to be better for a multiplayer inclusion in a deck where the colour identity was based on the wedge shaped, or the wedge shape of the colour pie. And I imagine for those of you that have played or are familiar with Magic over a very long time period will easily notice which of these cards are old cards in new frames. If you haven't checked out the old Saturday morning nostalgia series that I did, I think it's well worth checking out, just seeing how you get on. I'm not sure of the quality of the camera at the time, but certainly it's very interesting to see from my collection's perspective, you know, in say a particular quarter of a year as I work through certain years, and what came out around the same time and what things I actually purchased. Obviously we're going to come across the odd split cards. Now again, there's certain styles of card which you're not going to see yet in 2011, which no doubt as we move through the various yearly Commander product we're going to see. And we're now moving on to commons. We have been for a little while now. And I always find this is a particular section where I tend to recognise the cards a little bit better. There's an old school Ray of Command there. Oh, looks like we're jumping a little bit around on the rarity here. as I think I mentioned in the other deck, we are going to see a complement of signets, which are going to be specific to the wedge. But then we're also seeing these sort of filter mana rocks as well. And also certain dual lands, like the refuges, the vivids. And here you'll notice we've got the full complement of vivid lands. We have a storage land in here as well. And as well, certain land that if you've or are familiar with Commander product over a long period of time will notice continually come up, like Temple of the False God and the lands from like the original Ravnica block. These bounce lands. And sometimes you can have a fun little artwork collection based on some of these lands at common, where they change the artwork over various sets. So we're now moving on to the basic lands. I've done a bit of a better job, I think, this week of clustering similar artwork together. What you'll find in this particular deck is a lot of the time there's 2 copies of a particular piece of artwork in the various colours. And then maybe just one where it's an odd number. Some people are great at spotting, which particular sets these come from. I'm always impressed when people comment on a particular set of basic land where I flick through it and it's just through recognising it on the screen. I can't do that myself. I can occasionally do it where it's like maybe a card or piece of artwork that's been printed a lot in like a core set. But beyond that, 3 copies of that one, I think. So it looks like there were slightly more green cards in this deck. Let's just hold on that for a moment. That's a nice piece of artwork. And then, because it's in the contract, it is a requirement that I have to now feature the cheese board for at least around about 2 seconds or longer. So yeah, thanks for watching, bye for now, and I'll catch you in the next video.